Live.
Oh, nice, nice,
Here we
nice.
go. Wait for folks to trickle in. For those of you who are here already or watching the replay, welcome. We have a very exciting talk this Sunday evening
Yeah.
with our special guest Rasheed from Progressive Immigrants.
Hello.
Yeah, how you doing tonight, Rasheed?
I'm doing really well. And correction, it's actually progressive migrants. Yes. So, but yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be here. I've previously mentioned to you before we started the live, I love any opportunity to sort of amplify the immigrant voice and to speak on the immigrant experience because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to dig in. We, as you know, recorded a podcast episode recently, and there was so much good stuff we started getting into when it comes to this topic of mental wellness and financial mindset for the immigrant community. I certainly learned a lot from you. So that's why we're here today. We're like, we might as well share more and give people a little bit of a preview of the podcast that's coming out on this Thursday. So I see we have a couple people joining in. Thank you so much for being here. Let me go ahead and introduce myself, and then I'll pass over to Rasheed to give a more formal introduction. So I am Adina from Immigrant Finance. Again, if I haven't connected with you yet, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us and learn more about this topic and share, hopefully, in the comments your insights on this topic, what we can learn from you. Immigrant Finance is a online platform that's really focused on empowering the immigrant community when it comes to finances, such as managing money, investing, increasing income, and starting online businesses as a way to be building wealth and making an impact to help others and change the world. So excited to dive more into this topic of mindset because that's something we focus on a lot. I always say it's 99% of finance and business is about mindset, not about math and numbers, which Rasheed knows that very well. Thank you for being here again. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Yes. So, hi, everyone. My name is Rasheed Ajuride. I am a licensed mental health professional. I'm based out in the Midwest. I'm specifically based out in Indiana. And I am a Nigerian American. So I have a lot of personal experiences when it comes to the immigrant experience. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And just for those that don't know already, I am the founder of the Progressive Migrants account. We are on Facebook. Well, not on Facebook. We are on Instagram, and we're soon to start putting out content on YouTube as well.
Amazing.
So, yes.
That's really cool. And I see we have Daniel here is joining in. Thanks for this important conversation. Thank you for being here, Daniel. Please jump in and share any questions, comments, insights you have as we talk. I know you've been thinking about this topic as well a lot. So let's just kind of get started with your journey and how you got involved in this topic, and specifically for immigrants. Where did it all start?
So before I get started, I'm just going to talk about Progressive Migrants really quickly. So Progressive Migrants is something that kind of generated from my experience as an immigrant. I've always noted that there was just a lot of issues or a lot of challenges that came with being an immigrant. And it just seemed like there were not enough platforms. There were not enough discussions around the challenges and the issues that immigrants were facing pretty much on a daily basis. And being a mental health professional myself, I understand the importance of having your experience be something that other people can recognize, and how that can make a huge impact in your your healing process and just you becoming. The the Progressive Migrant account was started to kind of help amplify the immigrant voice and to provide a platform where immigrants can sort of talk about their experiences and find means of being able to cope with the various challenges that immigrants face. And so, yeah, so that's how I'm going to start off, and just kind of talking about the challenges, some of the challenges that I'm sort of referring to. There's a lot of challenges that immigrants are faced with once they immigrate into a new society and a new country, a new culture. There's so many things, including maybe financial challenges, being able to find a find that balance in their personal and professional life, being able to find a job, being able to adopt the right form of mindset that will allow them to continue to sort of thrive. And so that being, why we're here today, I think we should sort of stick to that. But in addition to a lot of the financial issues, immigrants also face a lot of different issues, including mental health. And so I think that kind of brings us to the topic, and that's why there is there is a middle ground between the mindset and finance. So yeah, so.
Absolutely. There's so much at this intersection, and definitely not enough people talking about, I think, mental health, mental wellness for the immigrant community. You're one of the first people I've come across that's really focusing in that area. Have you reached or connected with other people in this topic?
Yeah, so initially when I first started, I really was not finding many others that were kind of speaking to mental health issues that were plaguing the immigrant community. However, since I did started, I've sort of started noticing some other individuals that were catering to that particular need. But initially when I started, I really was not noticing very many. And even now, as I'm noticing the very few, there still isn't very many of us. It's still very few people that are speaking to the to the immigrant experience, and especially when it comes to mental health and just having a healthy mindset. There's very few of us that are doing that. So yeah.
Absolutely. And particularly with that lens of finances, which is such a huge part of mental health for everybody. But particularly when you're new to the country, you don't have all the, family been here for generations that understand the system. Right. And so many reasons for people come involve like opportunity, economic opportunity, job opportunities. So, what was kind of your first exposure or kind of the first light bulb that went off when you saw this connection with finances and the mental wellness of immigrants?
I think it's always been there, but I think I feel like it's always been there, but again, there was not a it wasn't something that like I was it wasn't in the forefront. Like I would say I wasn't conscious of it until much later, but it was definitely there. Like, when my family immigrated into the US, like much like any other family, like there's a lot of shift when it comes to just their relationship with finance. You enter into a new community, into a new country. You're not sure how you're gonna, be able to make your livelihood. You're not sure how you're gonna be able to make ends meet. So there's a lot of nervousness, a lot of worries about how you're gonna actually make this work. Because for a lot of families that immigrate, you really do have to kind of start all over. You're really starting with a clean slate, and with that, there's a lot of uncertainties when it comes to, just how you're going to be able to make ends meet. How is your family going to be able to, survive. I think for my family, I think again, it was always something that, money was always a thing. We were always aware of like, okay, how are we going to make ends meet? How are we going to make sure that, dad gets a job, mom gets a job, and they can both, support the family with whatever job that they do get. And so, and even that, like even the process of getting jobs, like you don't just want any job. You want a job where, if you were, for a lot of immigrants, some of them might have been engineers in their native country. Some of them might have been, doctors. A lot of them might have had really high professional jobs. And when they immigrate, they sort of have to find their ground. And the first or second or even third job that they may land may not be anywhere near the professional realm that they were in prior to immigrating. And so it causes a lot of disconnect. And so when you were a doctor back in your native country, or you were an engineer, or you were, private contractor, and you have really, a really good prestigious position, and you immigrate into a new society and you sort of have to start from scratch. It really does a lot to your mindset. Again, for me, I don't think there was a moment of like light bulb until my adulthood. But I think it was always something that was there. Like this idea that finance was a big deal in the family. Like how are you going to make ends meet was always a thing. But it wasn't something that I was cognizant of, like how it affected the family dynamics and things like that. So. Yeah.
I relate to that a lot. I'm just nodding my head because that's actually really kind of the story of how immigrant finance was started. Was when my husband now immigrated here and we went through all that. I don't think we realized how much finances and worries and anxiety about money was dominating our life. And only like several years later did we realize it and come up with immigrant finance. But looking back on it, it was, it affected every single day, almost every interaction we had, like our ability to, from everything to buy groceries and get by with basic needs on it, and how we're going to get through the bills for that month, to like, how can you establish relationships and make friends, in this new country. I mean, I just remember like having to have like full conversations about whether we could go to this friend's birthday because we knew we couldn't afford it. And all that. So it caused so much anxiety for us and stress. That it just really resonates what you said of like not really realizing it when you're in it.
It definitely takes a lot of hindsight to be able to kind of, I think it takes you coming out of that to really be able to like say, wow, like that was a really difficult time. I think when you're sort of in the moment, you're just trying to survive, which is something that we're all familiar with as immigrants. I think, we're used to operating in that survival mode, that very limited mindset of, I don't have very much, but I have to do what I got to do. And so we're not aware of it, but it really does have a lot of effect on our mindset and our mental stability. Absolutely.
I see we got a question came in. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and read it for people listening. When changing our environment to a new country, we're facing, again, the fears we hold as a child: rejection, humiliation, abandonment, betrayal, injustice. How to avoid getting these fears get in the way and enter into anxiety. Despite how certain you immigrate, you are a stranger to the environment and your confidence gets hurt. How to keep the belief that we are welcome, that this could be our land too. Really powerful questions there.
Yes. Despite how certain I'm, a stranger to the environment and your confidence gets hurt. How to keep the belief that we are welcome, that this could be our land too. So I guess the question is, how do we keep faith, and how do we sort of adopt this mindset that this is also my land and this is a place that I'm actually welcomed in? into? That's a really good question. I think, again, I kind of speak to this in the podcast. One of the things that's important is like we always have to understand what our values are, and we always have to have a strong sense of self-worth,
Mhm.
because we should always be, if you know what your value is, no matter what environment you sort of find yourself being planted into, you're always going to know what your worth is, and your environment is not going to be the one to sort of define your worth to you, because you have this strong sense of worth. And so I think for a lot of immigrant, I would always encourage, like, you know, having having that strong sense of, okay, this is who I am. This is what I bring to the table. I may be in a new environment where other people around me may not know my worth, but I know my worth. I know I have such and such qualifications back in my country. So you sort of have to carry yourself with this air of, I really do know my worth. And I think
Yeah.
it's really difficult, but it's something that we really all have to practice. And we can practice these sort of things by having, just self affirmation, like affirmative statements. Like, when you wake up in the morning, you just sort of want to remind yourself who you are. Like, this is who I am. And, I'm in this new environment, but I'm not going to let this environment tell me who I am. And I'm not going to let, the people around me now define define my worth and my value. So I think that's one way to sort of do that, to maintain that level of like, okay, I know my worth and I'm not going to settle. So
Absolutely. I'll just add some immigration lawyer perspective on that. That something that I always think of is like these laws and systems that make you feel like you're not human, or that try to take away your humanity, call you labels, call you terrible words like the word alien or illegal. Like
yeah,
these are wrong. These are morally wrong,
yeah,
violent um, words and actions and laws, in the system, and you can't let them control you or determine your fate. Like just as Rasheed is saying, like you get to decide your worth, no one else can, no matter what the system does to you or what the system labels you.
yeah,
First of all, it's all made up. Like
yeah,
100 years ago, there's no such thing as illegal or legal, or I hate saying that word, but
yeah.
it's all made up in the first place. Like you are a human and no one can take that away from you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, but yeah, like I was pointing to, I think it's a hard thing to sort of face, especially when you have a system, kind of like what Adina is alluding to, where you have a system where you constantly have all these stigma around you just being an immigrant, at all. Just the label in and of itself it comes so stigmatized that it sort of feeds all these negative things into you, from what you get from the external forces. But you really do have to stay strong with your internal forces and just remind yourself, hey, I know who I am. I know that I am adding value to, everyone around me, and the things that I touch. When I go to my job, I'm bringing value to my job. When I, speak at meetings, or at staffing, I'm actually adding a different perspective. I
Yeah.
bring something of value to the table. I'm not just here to just sort of soak up resources, which is the image that's sort of painted, or in the narrative that's sort of told. But you really do have to affirm yourself, because that narrative that, the external forces are kind of spewing, that's not really the truth. And the truth, you add value. There's not a single one of us that has a job and goes to their job and don't add any value to it. And
Yeah.
immigrants really did build this country, in particular the US. Like, so we all add value in one way or another. So
Absolutely, especially the way that the world has become more globalized. People are actually at a disadvantage now if they don't know what it's like to experience different cultures or to speak different languages or to have different perspectives.
Yeah.
So I'm always telling the folks in our community, like, you have a major advantage over Americans that you can offer, like, and what you're describing of like different perspectives. You're going to be able to look at problems differently and be more
Absolutely.
creative.
Yeah.
Add so much more value from your experience, and that's something that's really important to tap into, and can also give a lot of job opportunities as well. Like, being bilingual makes you more competitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. And so, yeah, when you consider all of these factors, you really start to realize that you really are someone of value, and you really have a lot of worth. And so, you know, you can't let this stuff, get you down. And I think, speaking to anxiety is actually one of the more common disorders or like issues with immigrants. And it makes a lot of sense because you're entering into this new environment. Everything is brand new to you. You're not sure, what the norms are. You're not sure what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable. And so you're being really careful about everything. You're over analyzing everything, and you're trying to make sure that you don't step on any toes, and you're speaking the right way. And so there's a lot of anxiety that comes with being an immigrant. And so, and that again, it still goes back to finance. If you're not in a good place mentally, where you feel comfortable to even express yourself, when you don't feel comfortable to go after different things, when you don't feel comfortable to kind of break outside of your security blanket, then you're not going to be able to really go after what you really want financially, like to really develop yourself, and to really provide opportunities for your family. There's a lot of immigrants that I even know personally, like, they immigrate into the States, and, whatever profession that they were into prior, they sort of never go back to it. They accept this new lower position, and they just sort of stay there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
For folks who are listening, joining live, go ahead and put in the comments #live so we can give you a shout out. Thank you for being here. Any questions you have, put it in the comments so that we can make sure to give you any guidance, anything you want to share from your experience.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to start talking about too is like that transition from these struggles to really stepping into owning your value and power as an immigrant and embracing abundance mindset. I know that's something we both talk a lot about for this community, and the podcast is like amazing. I can't wait for you guys to hear Rasheed's insights in that. But anything you want to kind of give a sneak peek on? With that?
Like that the whole abundance mindset it really is like the key or the catalyst to opening this new world of opportunities. And abundance mindset is just really kind of talking about understanding that there really is no limits to what you can achieve. Like, a lot of the limits that we create is really in our own minds, and in actuality, there are no limits. You really can strive to be everything that you could ever dream of, even as a immigrant. I think as an immigrant, like, we tend to limit ourselves and we tend to box ourselves up because of the safety blanket that is created, because we are anxious to sort of go out and try new things. I'm not fluent in this language, so I can't their dream of like trying to start a business and trying to run a business. And so for some of us, our anxiety and some of our mental limitations keep us from being able to really let us soak in that we really can achieve anything, and we can master the game, and we can go great lengths with the whatever it is that we want to do. If you're a business person, if you want to pursue a certain career, professional wise, like there really is no limits to what you can achieve. And I think specifically with finance, you can have the type of relationship that you've always dreamed of with finance. And so, don't get in your own way. Don't limit yourself.
Absolutely.
The sky really is the limit, and you just have to open your mind to it. And that, when you open your mind, that's when you enter into the abundant mindset. So yeah, so that's what that's really all about, is opening your mind and realizing that the opportunities are endless for you, and you really can achieve all of your financial dreams. And you don't have to kind of follow any traditional routes that you might have been taught when you were growing up, or that you might have been familiar with from your native country. There's new opportunities every day, and it's okay to take risk, and it's not, we really should not limit ourselves. um,
I
so
couldn't agree more. I would just add, there's definitely more barriers I want to acknowledge, particularly for folks who don't have lawful status or in between statuses. You all know that. There's so many of you who we've worked with to help you navigate those barriers. It's just harder. It doesn't mean it's not possible. Like that abundance that Rasheed is talking about is available regardless of what your immigration status is. It can just be more difficult to navigate. And we all know that immigrants are so resilient and have been through, struggle, even just having to learn a new culture, or like learn directions in a new place, or learn a new language. From that to much more extreme struggles and being away from family. Like there's so much that folks go through, that if you can go through those things, you can go through navigating the financial system. That's nothing compared to the other things that many of you have been through. It's just about sometimes getting the right support and not giving up, and also becoming a financial advocate for yourself, like calling up the banks and the credit card companies and investment companies and advocating for yourself.
Yeah. And I think part of the issue is, again, because there's so much hurdles and we don't have the right resources, a lot of times we limit ourselves. We don't think it's possible. I'm an immigrant. I may not have papers. I may have papers, but I don't speak the language fluently. I don't know about which, county office to go, register my business. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And so those little sort of things are things that get in the way, and they limit us. And so understanding that we really don't have to be limited. The opportunities are endless, and that's why pages like Immigrant Finance, and a few others like Invest in Padi, and there's a few other ones, but I can't remember them right now. Like they're really out here to really assist with that process of helping you get through some of the hurdles that can get in your way of adopting that abundance mindset.
So, question for you: what would you say to someone? Because I get this question from people in our community, like, I want to start a business, I want to build wealth, I see myself doing that, I see this vision for my family, but I don't have status, and I'm afraid to risk anything for my family. I don't want to be more known. Kind of those fears that can come up, very, very real for the immigrant community in terms of stepping into that abundance. Any thoughts on
that? So you're speaking specifically to like just having fear of like stepping into that. Yeah, that's a real one. Like I think there is a lot of fear. Just like with anything that you're not used to, you're obviously going to be a little scared. You're going to be a little skeptical. You're not sure how it's going to turn out. You're sort of taking a risk, and it's always a little bit frightening when we take risk. But I think one thing that we always have to remember is if we don't take the risk, we're never really gonna find out if we're gonna fail, if we're gonna thrive and take off. We're not ever really gonna know. So some of the things that you can start reminding yourself is, although I am a little worried and I'm a little nervous and I'm fearful of taking this opportunity, if I don't take the opportunity, I'm never really gonna find out if I was ever gonna succeed or not. I think that's one thing to always kind of remind ourselves is it never really hurts to venture out and take that opportunity. But if we don't, we're always going to look back and we're always going to be concerned if we made the right choice or not by not pursuing it. But I think reminding ourselves that okay, I can at least try, and so I think that is a big thing. Just at least try it, and being worried is totally okay. Being fearful is totally okay. It's acceptable. It's understandable. But you owe it to yourself to still, put a little bit of effort and try. And, that never really hurts. So
Absolutely.
that's what I would say for that. Like, I think if you don't try, you'll never really find out. And, you know, um, fear is one of those things that sometimes we just can't shake it because we don't have enough information to be able to really roll the dice. But I think we have to remind ourselves that sometimes we just have to do it. We have to just say, you know what, I've really looked at all of my options, I've measured all of my risk, I know enough, but I just don't have 100% guarantee, and that's okay. You're not ever really going to have 100% guarantee. You're not ever really going to not be afraid, like, oh yeah, like I'm totally going to go into this new business, or I'm totally going to go into this investment opportunity and I know I'm going to come out making this much. You never really know. So but I think once you sort of done your homework and you realize that you know you've put all the safety measures in place, and even if things don't go the way you want, you have some safety net and you have things in place to sort of help you carry on, then I think it's you should definitely give it a try. So
Yeah, I mean, something that's been really powerful, I think, for people in our community to think about is like this idea that discomfort is expected. Actually, like if you're not having that discomfort and those fears, it means you're actually not growing,
yep.
right? Anytime you're going outside your comfort zone, that's going to come up, and our brains are designed to keep us safe and keep us where we are just from evolutionary times and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So to just kind of know, oh, that's actually a normal part of the process, and this is a good sign I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier,
It
right?
does. It does. It does. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're never, when you're going into something new, new territories, your fears is actually a good indicator. Like it's like, okay, it's happening,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. And one of the things that I always talk about with, in with some clients is our emotions are not necessarily facts. So sometimes we may feel frightened by an opportunity or by something that we want to take on. But that fear, like you said, it is an appropriate emotion to have. However, it's not an indication that that thing is going to fail or that that thing is actually, going to be a threat to our lives. Sometimes we feel the fear, but the fear does not always dictate that that thing is dangerous and that we should never do it. So understanding that I feel this way and I can validate how I feel, I can accept and acknowledge how I feel and say, you know what, this is how I feel, and I don't really feel safe going into this. That's okay. We can acknowledge it, but then we can say, but I'm still going to, allow myself to explore this opportunity, regardless of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And just recognizing that our feelings are not always facts. They don't dictate facts. So do it regardless of your Kofi, as long as you make sure that all of your safety nets are kind of put in place, and you've calculated your risk. Why not?
Yes, this is so important. This is why I get so excited about mindset stuff, because this is the how to
Yeah.
get to where you want to get. It's not just starting to invest. Like that's a great, you gotta, that's a great way to get started and get the systems in place to be building wealth. But it's changing this mindset to be able to take reasonable risks
Yeah.
so that you can expand and grow and take on more opportunities. That's how you build wealth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we're trying not to give too much away from the conversation in the podcast. But one of the things that one of the really powerful like statements that I've often heard other people quote is, "You can't build generational wealth from your 9 to 5 savings." Um,
Mhm.
your savings, your safety net will not really get you your dreams. It's honestly just going to get you just enough to be able, it's going to get you by. Again, it's going to keep you safe, but we don't want to live in safety. We're not meant to live in, in that safe bubble. Life is meant to be lived, and we're supposed to dream bigger. And so, when we sort of operate in a mindset of safety, I just want to be safe. I just want to be safe. We're really doing ourselves a disfavor, and we're not tapping into the abundance and the amazing things that we could be achieving. So we really have to understand that, yeah, we can't just, we cannot tap into the abundance mindset from, I just want to have a safety now. I just want to have a savings. Your savings account will not get you the type of relationship with wealth that you desire. So.
Yes, that was so good. And so many of you all that I talk to, I talk to y'all and you're like, I want more than that. Like everyone around me is okay with just getting by. Like I had some clients say like, just like beans and rice is all we need. We got in the fridge, we're good,
Yeah.
But like, I want more than that. I want more than what my family is good enough with. And like, I just want to acknowledge if you feel that way, that's a good thing. Like you should be really proud of yourself because it means you're letting yourself like grow into your potential.
Yes.
If we don't allow ourselves to do that, we not only stay where we are, but we actually go backward because I don't know what you think about this, but I don't think there's any such thing as staying where you are. It's like you're either expanding or you're kind of going back.
You're getting left behind. Yeah.
Right? Because we're
And in
meant
the
to
finance world,
expand.
that's a very literal thing in the finance world. If your money is not growing, then your money is actually depreciating. Just
Because of
like,
inflation.
yeah, like when we're talking about depreciation, like, yeah, if your money is not growing, it's actually depreciated. So depreciation is a real thing, and money, the cost of living is constantly going up, and that's why you have depreciation. And so $1,000 today in 10 years would not get you the same thing. And so if you keep your little safety and you're saying, well, I'm just trying to be safe for retirement, I'm just trying to be safe, at the end of the day, when you're not growing that money, so that money is really more so going down. It's actually depreciating every year that it's sitting in your bank account. It may look like it's growing, but it's not catching up with inflation. So that's something to be mindful of. And so I do agree with you, Adina. Like you're absolutely right. Like if you're not moving forward, especially when it comes to the finance game, if you're not moving forward, then more than likely you're moving backwards.
And that was such a great example of that connection between finance and mindset, because with finance, it's literal. It's like what you just said, but it's the same thing with mindset. I mean, and money, I know we talk about this in the podcast. I'm like, money is just energy. It's kind of just a reflection of you.
Yeah, it's a commodity. It's a tool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so much more to come. I don't want to give too much away. And I want to be respectful of your time so we can start to wrap up. But if anyone else has any final questions for Rasheed, please put it in the chat. I saw
something on there. You want to read that? I saw somebody's put a question on there. But I'll let you read that.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
So somebody said, I think trust is a big issue on an uncertain environment. As a newbie or a newbie, you can be confused and ignorant to many things. From your experience, how do you know who to trust? And that's a good one. And I'm not sure if they're referring to like just a financial person, like if you have like a financial advisor, like who to trust in terms of financial advisor, or who to trust in terms of like just your, you being vulnerable and you communicating as far as like your mental health and like your challenges as an immigrant. So I don't know how to answer that one necessarily because I'm not sure in what regards the question is being framed. But Adina, I'll pass that over to you.
Yeah, I think that was Daniel. You're very philosophical. That's a great question. I mean, it's really hard. I've seen with many people. I mean, even just with making friends, it's really hard to know who to trust when you're in a new environment. I mean, I would kind of go back to what you were saying in the beginning, Rasheed, about like, I forget the language you use, but this idea of really trusting yourself and like valuing yourself, and that's what you can rely on. I mean, you can't rely on anyone but yourself to get where you want to get. So he said vulnerable mostly when you want to get support.
Yeah. So yeah, keep going, Adina.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. I mean, in terms of like mental health support, look for folks like Rasheed, check them out, who are specializing in this area, who have personal experience in this area and can speak to it. Right. I think, using, talking to other people and word of mouth and reputation is really important and big. Always be an informed consumer, right? Like if someone tells you they're an immigration lawyer, ask them for what their bar number is and make sure they're licensed. Absolutely. Because there's a lot of really terrible immigration lawyers out there that take advantage of people or people pretending to be immigration lawyers. Oh, wow. So yeah, you got to be strong, and it's a hard question. It goes right to definitely a big issue, I think, with mindset and being new to a country.
Okay. So yeah, like those are really good pointers, Adina. Like I think you're absolutely right, especially when it comes to just verifying the credibility of the person, like verifying their credentials and their their ability to perform whatever task it is that they claim that they can perform. So to kind of add to that, when it comes to like just vulnerability, I think you should try to find some sort of community wherever you're at. I think that's a really important thing. Wherever new setting you may find yourself, try to find a community of people that you can relate with. And it doesn't necessarily have to be other immigrants. Sometimes you will find locals that actually are very, very supportive, and they're very strong allies because, for some reason they just, they get your experience. And there are some people like that. So try to find a support group, a support set of people that can sort of help you out. You can usually tell who is a good support. Just you don't want to open up to people right away. You kind of want to feel them out. And so when you're trying to look for who's a good person to sort of trust, just get a vibe for what they're like. Don't open up too much in the beginning. Just sort of like try opening up very slowly to kind of give an opportunity to see how they are. So I think that's a really important thing. Like we don't have to, be too trusting too soon. With trust, it's something that can be built on. And so when you're getting a feel for like how vulnerable you can be with someone, just take your time in that process. If you don't yet feel comfortable, that's fine. That's actually a good indication that, okay, well, maybe you should slow down. So take your time in that process. Don't rush it. Try to get a feel for what that person is like by slowly just opening up, very, very gradually, and watch for how they also open up. one thing that helps to foster a trust and relationship is to kind of see if the other person is reciprocating. If you have a relationship where it feels one-sided, where you're kind of coming to this person and you're sharing things, but you find that the person is not necessarily reciprocating that level of like trust in you, then you should probably pull back a little bit, because one, you may be overwhelming the person, and two, the person may turn out to not be all that trustworthy because they're not opening up to you. So that's a good way to also kind of gauge that. So
Great expert advice there. Thank you for sharing that.
absolutely.
So where can people follow you, get in touch if they want to learn more about your services?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always reach me at Progressive Migrants on IG. That's probably the best place to reach me, or Progressive Migrants at gmail.com. So you can send me an email as well, and I will be very responsive. So those are probably the two best way to reach me.
Awesome. Did I get right in the chat there?
Yes, you
Awesome.
did. You did.
Great.
So yeah, that's the best way to reach me. And again, Progressive Migrant is a platform that's really speaking to the immigrant experience when it comes to just mental wellness and mental health. There's a lot of challenges that we really go through, and our scarcity mindset is one of the challenges that we actually do go through. But there's homesickness, there's relating, and in the sense of being bicultural and like relating even with members of your own family, or relating to people back home. And so yeah, there's a lot of those sort of challenges, and so be sure to like check out the page. You'll definitely find support. It's a buzzing new community, and I think you're going to find support there as well.
So grateful for you for making this community and resource and talking about these very important issues, as well as sharing your expertise today with our community. So can't thank you enough. And everybody, keep your eyes peeled for the podcast to come out on Thursday, that we go into a lot of these topics more in depth. And there's some really awesome gems in there that I'm excited for folks to hear.
Absolutely. I'm excited as well.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity. I'm always excited at the opportunity to, again, amplify the immigrant voice and just speaking to our experiences. And I think it's really important that, we do that because, again, we're very important as well. We're an important part of every community where we're at, and we're contributing immensely to the society. And so and I think it's just, it's time that we start speaking positively to the immigrant experience, because you hear immigrant these days, it's stigmatized so much, and mostly what you think of is undocumented immigrants, and you don't necessarily think of so many other ways that immigrants are contributing to the society, and how they're having a huge impact on the society. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Well, have a great night, everybody. And I wish you all a great start to the week. If you have any requests for topics like this, let me know. We do these free trainings once a month, bring on guests sometimes. So happy to jump into any issues that would be valuable. Thank you so much.
All right.
Great.
Thank you guys.
Take care. Thanks
Have a good
again.
night, everyone.
Good night.